All right, it's Friday. All went not as good as I wanted to up at the field with the Piper Cub. 15-mile-an-hour crosswind. Cubs don't like crosswind takeoff or landings. The takeoff went good. Flight was fine. It was a landing. It came in, and it's the first time it's ever happened. But yes, even people who have flown RC Piper Cubs for 12 years, eventually it's going to happen. It's coming in for a landing, and the typical process, you're going to come in, because you're crabbing it in, and you're trying to fight it from weather vaning all the way, and that's the hardest part with the Cub, is that you're trying to slow it down and at the same time keep enough thrust going past the rudder to keep it going the direction you want it to. So I came in, the wind's coming this way, came in with the plane angled with a certain amount of aileron, just because you don't want that wing to actually get underneath and then throw the plane off to the side. You can want to fight it. So when I was coming in, as soon as I hit that critical speed, it weather vaned in, so it rotated. So the wind was coming this way. Come in. There we go. The wind was coming this way, so it caused it to weather vane in. And what happened was, as soon as I touched the ground, I wasn't 100%. I wasn't directly into it. It was still off by about 45 degrees. It lifted this wing and started to rock it. Well, this wingtip on the left-hand side touched the ground, and all it did, it just touched it, and it started to rotate. And that's the little cartwheel. So it hit and started to rotate, and as soon as it rotated it around, the wind pushed the tail up, and then it landed upside down. So it had completely stopped before it was flipped upside down. It's what the wind did. So there was zero damage to the Piper Cub. Just kind of hurt my pride, but you know, it's what it is. So anyway, before the rain hits, because it's coming, we got our little friend out here, and she's all put together, and I got the postal scale. And I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere down in this range, so I'm going to try to set you guys up the best you can, so you're going to get a good view as I lower it down, and I'm not going to know where that weight is probably until I edit this video. So let me get this all set up, and I'll get the camera set up, and then we'll go ahead and we'll weigh her. Alright, now that we got it all set up out here, take it down, let's get, hopefully, get a good enough view on how much it weighs, because I have picked it up and it is heavy. Okay, let's do it. Alright, that's it right there. She has been weighed, she has been measured. Alright, that was considerably heavier than I thought it was going to be. I was originally hoping for about 28 and a half. Yeah, that's everything. I don't know where all that weight came from, but I didn't think it's, when you pick it up, it feels like it weighs about that much. So we're looking at 35 pounds. So now I'm going to have to go and crunch the numbers on my my wing loading. That's going to go me somewhere around 27 ounces per square, up to probably 30 plus. I don't know. I'll figure that out right now, and I'll let you know. Alright, now we're going to figure out the wing loading. The weight came out to 556 ounces. You know, give or take. I can round it up to 560. It doesn't really matter. And the square foot. Here's your square inches up top. Divide that by 144, gives you your square feet. So we're at 16.47 square feet. So the ounces per square foot is 556. Divide that by 16.47. And oh yeah, she is a tank. So 34 ounces per square. More than I wanted. I've flown some warbirds. My warbird, my P-47, was pretty close to that. It was about 32. It still came in and landed fine. It's just you got to watch your speed. So that's what I will have to do with her. we'll see how well that's going to lift, because the wing is about 2 degrees positive to the thrust line. So it's kind of like flying with flaps, if you want to call it flaps in a certain way, to increase lift. I don't know. I mean, it's set up the same way that the person that flew it before with the same engine. You know, I don't know how well it worked. We'll find out how well it works. But that's what we're at. So that just means keep it on the ground a little bit longer before takeoff, and just watch your speed coming in the first couple times. Just come in and I'll try to do a relatively quick wheel landing instead of 3-pointing it, just to see where it's going to be. And you know, we'll see how it goes. It's a big plane. I mean, I'm not used to putting together planes of that size. So, you know, all we can do is hope. So, she's a piggy. Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's Wednesday morning, I believe the 23rd of May. I've got a strange work schedule again this week, as per usual. So I'm not going until 10 o'clock, working a little bit later. So I'll just be down here in the shop early in the morning, getting some of the fun little doodads going. Still have not heard anything, still have not heard anything back yet from Mike up at the sign shop. So if you know, nothing happens soon, I'll have to go up there and grab my stuff and, you know, find someone else. So anyway, let me show you what I'm working on right now. I decided that I had to, and hopefully we're going to be able to see this. I wanted to change the way, you know what, hang on. Sorry if there's a little bit of weird noise, because I've got the mic taken away. Okay, so to bring you back in, here is what I have done. As you can see, where my little fuel line's coming out of a piece of brass, about a 1/2 inch wide, a little over 1 1/4 inches long. Drilled a hole through it and soldered it to the nut, so that way I've got a good way of getting in there to tighten up the nut on the bottom of the fuel valve up on the top there, because that was sorry about that, that was creating a problem because it was loosening up when it vibrated. So in order for me to get into it with my hands, I've got to take the dash control panel off, the instrument panel off. So I just decided I want to have it so that even if I have to do this again in the future, I don't have to try to get a wrench inside there. I can just twist it with my fingertips and snug it up. So, alright, let me set you guys back up in the stand. I'll do a little more work, and then I'll bring you in and let you know where I'm at before I head off to work. Alright everyone, welcome back to the pit. It's Wednesday night, probably about 7 o'clock. That's where that bright thing's coming from. So it's casting a good shadow anyway. So anyway, the good news, I actually, on the way home, I was driving down the road, and coming the other way was Mike from Road Ridge Design. So I saw him in his truck, so got on the phone, gave him a quick little buzz. Right now everything is in the works. He's got everything stacked up. What he's been working on a lot of big projects, and I do know what he's going through because at work that's what I'm doing. There's a lot of big stuff coming through, and you don't want to forget about the little stuff, but when the big stuff takes up so much of your time, you need to keep focus on what you're working on. And you know, and it's unfortunate that some of the little stuff, you know, just seeps through the cracks, and you don't want it to. But anyway, so what he's working on now, because he got his last big project done and he's settling down before the weekend, and he hired a new person in his shop. So she's been going through the training, so hopefully everything will work out well for him. But he says that he's hoping he can have it pretty much cut out either tomorrow or Friday. So regardless, I'm working tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I have Monday off, which of course is his day off because it's a national holiday. So I won't be able to pick them up till next week. So if they are done, I'll see if I can run up there, you know, hopefully next Tuesday after work and pick them up, just so I can get that thing done. So anyway, what I'm working on right now is the Cub. This is the plane that I think I told you about on Friday. I decided to test my own stupidity, my own. The general rule with pipers is don't, you know, if you got a really strong crosswind, even with the real Cubs, they will not take off and land in a strong crosswind because the landing speed is so slow and you don't have enough thrust going across the tail end of the aircraft that a whole lot can go wrong really quick. So that was just something. I've done 10-mile-an-hour flights with this plane, crosswinds, and they're kind of sketchy, but they're very doable. So I was pushing 15, and I realized, because life is a learning process, I realized don't fly it in a 15-mile-an-hour crosswind. So if the wind was, if I was landing into the wind at, like, say, a 45-degree angle to our landing area, that wouldn't have been a problem. I could have worked with that, but we were at 90 degrees. So, you know, when I slowed down and it just started sweeping that tail around, and there's nothing you can do. You can throw in as much opposite rudder as you want, and it's not going to slow it down because you don't have enough wind going across the rudder. So, so anyway, she flipped upside down, and that's the first time that she's been flipped upside down, and she fared quite well. I don't know if I showed you. I had a leak inside here, so I'm gonna, even though I've got a little bit of time left, I'm gonna take this out. I'll take the tank out. I got to take the cowling off, so I took parts of the my little air. People like to call it a ram air, but it's just, I don't even know what you really want to call it. All you're doing is you're just giving it a longer space so that when it's pulling gas through, because it's a two-stroke, it's pushing out as it's goofy. So instead of blowing some fuel back out of here, it gives you a little bit of a barrier where you're less likely to stream the gas down the side of your airplane. So I got to take this off. Oh, noticeable damage right there. So, and because I'm taking this off now, it's loose. But this got chipped up, and that was just from the hit. I mean, there's no damage to it anywhere except that, so I'll fix that. Back here on the tail, right here, this one right here is loose. You can see how. So what happens is I've got these things set up so that if they go through a really hard hit, they'll pull. You're not, so if I wanted to, I could probably come up and just readjust this one, which I'll probably just do. See how strong it is, just readjust this end so it'll be easy. But I've had them where they're fairly torn, and this one you can't really see how badly it's stretched. So I'll just go ahead and just tighten on the bottom side. I'll tighten this up and just hit it with some thin CA to weep down inside there, or to wick inside there, and so I should be good. So anyway, yeah, up here, here's where I had the leak, and I think it was from that T-fitting, and you can see how the nut from the, see if I can do it, hopefully you can see it well, how the nut from, oh, right over here, how the nut from this fell out the backside. So I don't know, I'm hoping that this piece is still good because I don't want to replace this piece, but I've got a piece I can replace that with. But I'll come in here, I'll take the fuel tank out, and I'll just redo this whole line. So that's why I got to take the front off, because I want to take it off the carb and slide it back, because I've got the, if you can see it right down there, hopefully my hand's not in the way, the filter. So I just want to pull all this back and just replace this whole yellow line down here and fix that issue so I don't have a leak inside, because she will be up flying on Monday. Now, I won't be there, and I'm going to be releasing this video Friday morning. For all those that are watching that don't belong to the flying club that I'm with, if you're in the area, on Saturday we're having a float fly-in at Peterson Park in McHenry, Illinois. Normally I would be there. I'm one of those people that loves playing on the water, and you know, some landings are good and some are just horrific, but if I wasn't working, I'd be there. We do have another one in the late September. I don't know exactly which date it is in late September, but we will be having another one in September, and I plan on being there for that one in September. So I'd rather be at both, but you know, it's the way things go. It's called work. So anyway, I'm going to get to work and get her all finished up and get that back upstairs. And we'll see tomorrow morning. We'll come back down and work on her again. I mean, I'm not too far behind on what I want to do on this one. I've just got to string up the cables, the servo leads, string them up inside, and I really think that's about it until I get the letters. So, so hopefully it'll be, we'll get some letters in and get the stripes on it, and then get her up and into the air. I'd like to run it up on the ground. I'd like to do a taxi test, but the yard here is just not, because you never know. You want to have a taxi test in an area where if it just decides that something happens and it's going to take off, you could take off and fly with it the best you can. This one it's not the kind of yard for a big plane like that. There are these great big green things all around, and there's something you don't want to fly into. So anyway, once again, I'll get the stuff done to that and get that out of the way, and then I will see you down here tomorrow morning for something. Just it'll be a little bit of something, but it'll be something. So I will I'll see you in the morning. Alright, it is Thursday morning. I was going to do a little bit of work on the plane, but I threw it outside because when editing this video last night into this morning, it is still not done. I want to kind of somewhat address the wing loading because we normally do it with ounces per square foot. And I think I came out, this one is somewhere right around, because I've got it all figured out on my little laptop here. It came out at 33.8 ounces per square foot, which since I've never done a plane of this size, I really didn't know how that was going to work itself into how the plane would take off landing speeds, because you don't know till you fly it the first time. And I just wanted to get a little bit better heads up on what I might be, you know, coming up against when I do the maiden flight. So there's a thing called wing cube loading, and it's something that we really don't use in the sport, the hobby sport, but they use it more with, you know, full-size aircraft. What it does, and this is really confusing, I'm going to put a link, I'll put probably 2 or 3 links down in the description of the video, so go ahead and go down and check it out. It's interesting read. The wing loading, the first one I put down there is going to explain wing loading, and then the second one will just be, it's a calculator for wing loading to see what you're going to be working with. Okay, so wing cubic loading it's kind of confusing to understand until you read it through 3 or 4 times. But once you get a good idea of what they're looking for, what they're doing, and I'm going to read this off the screen just so I can get it right the first time I say it, and you guys can kind of understand it. You won't see it from here. But anyway, it says wing cubic loading equals the weight of the airplane in ounces divided by the wing area in square feet and divided by the square root of the wing area. It says the units of the wing cubic loading are weight per unit volume of the same as density. Confusing, huh? Alright, so what you're really going to do is you're going to look and see how the plane is going to fly in comparison from everywhere from like a scale model all the way down to like a .049, you know, little teeny plane. Because the wing cubic loading for the full size ends up being the same wing loading as the small little RC plane. So that way it's going to give you a better idea how the plane's going to handle, how it's going to handle in the air. You're still going to be working out your landing speed and your rotation speed or takeoff speed. You know, and for a tail dragger, I usually let the plane lift itself. That way you know when it wants to take off. Just let it, so as soon as the tail comes up, just, you know, keep going straight ahead and see what it wants to do. because a lot of times you're going to hit a certain speed and you're going to notice the planes just start to bounce, and as soon as it starts to bounce it wants to come off. So pull back very gently on the stick, and if it lifts right away you pretty much know where the rotation speed's at. Now the landing speed is going to be, you're going to be coming in faster than the rotation speed, and you're going to slow it down to slower than the rotation speed, and that's where it's going to land. But you've got to do that as you're approaching the ground. Normally what I do is I bring it down, try to get it within a foot of the ground, and start very slowly pulling back on the stick just to change the angle of attack of the wing, and it's going to start slowing everything down. And then just as it settles in, that's how you do a 3-point landing. I'm not expecting to do a 3-point landing with this plane for, you know, several flights, or at least try to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reset the camera. You know what, I'll just take you off here. This is kind of, sorry about that, this is kind of what we're working with, and I'm hoping you're going to see this well. Alright, so what I did is, this would be one of the links I'm going to send to you. I put my square inches of the wing in, I'll bring it closer, square inches of the wing with the weight in ounces. And then when you hit calculate, it kicks it out. Here's my wing area. Of course, it's changing everything over to metric. Or not metric, yeah, metric system. And we don't really care about this because we're up here. But what it does is it comes in, it gives me my ounces per square foot, which is 33.8. And then it goes down to the bottom where wing cubic loading is 8.3. Now, my quarter scale clipped wing cub, cube loading comes out to 8.6. So I know how this big plane is going to fly, because it's going to fly pretty much just like my quarter scale cub, because that's also a clipped wing. Now the quarter scale cub weighs about 14.5 pounds, where this one weighs, you know, 34.5 pounds. So there's a huge difference in it, but it's got to do that even though the wing loading is higher in ounces per square foot, the wing cube loading is the same. So the plane, it's gonna fly like a, and I don't want to call it a trainer, it's more of a sport trainer or an aerobatic trainer. So let me bring you back to the other page. And this was written by a guy named Francis Reynolds, and it's actually pretty, it's a really good read. So as you come down, this one we're not going to pay attention to this one. We're going to go down and pay attention to the bottom one. And all this stuff with displacement loading, units, read this all. It's really good stuff. It'll take you a while, but it's gonna take you, it's gonna learn you more stuff. All right, so what we're looking for, we want to see how the plane itself is going to fly, and how my power of the of the engine and the wing, and how everything's going to work out, and how well the plane is gonna fly. See, like this one, you've got too heavy for the wing area. So what it's going to do is there's got three ways to look at it. You can look at it for power loading, for pound per horsepower. Okay, about 6 horsepower is from what they're saying on the engine, and pounds being 34.5. Let's just round it up to 36. So we need to be in the 6 range. So we need to be right about here. Now if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we are, if you look at displacement pound per cubic inch, we are 3.7 cubic inches to 34.5 pounds. So we should be just under 10. Let me think about that one. Yeah, just under 10. So we should be pretty close to being in the same range. So here's where it comes out. If you look at the bottom with power, with pound per horsepower, so we're on the good side, where we've actually got plenty of power. So if we come on down here, and then we look at cube loading, we're at 8.2, which is going to put us somewhere right about here. So what it does is it puts us in the excellent range, because we've got more horsepower and more power than we need. So it puts us above trainer and puts us kind of between a sports model and aerobatic or pattern planes. So it's going to put us right in this range. So we should be good on power with weight. So it should be a really good flying airplane. And because I know how the characteristics now of the plane should be in relationship to its full size, it should be a good flying plane. So my worries about how the plane's going to handle with takeoff and landing. That it should be a good, easy flying plane. It's not going to be a floater, but you know, it's. I had one Piper Cub that weighed it was, I want to say, somewhere around 15 or 16 ounces per square, and that's if you go down to like a 60 size. And those things are just, they're floaters. I mean, they're up there flying around, but they still have the same cubic wing loading, so they still come in at about the same speed, and they handle the same. So I'm hoping this with the links. I'm hoping that you guys can read it and understand it, because I'm still not 100% on understanding it, but I'm going to, because the way my little brain works, I'm going to keep reading through it. I want to see more, aeronautic studies on this, because this was very well put out, put into a form where the hobby community can read it and understand it. I mean, I'm sure that there's aeronautical engineers that have something that, you know, if we read it, we'd have to go back to school to relearn calculus again. Yeah, so that makes me happier, and learn something new every day.